Hello and welcome. This is Olivia Brown with WJ Now. Nevada is a hot battleground state. Candidates are neck and neck in the polls. Today we have Michelle Mortensen in Nevada giving us the scoop.
Hi, I'm Michelle Mortensen. I am an 8-time Emmy-winning TV journalist and TV host and political pundit and commentator. I'm also a former political candidate based in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I wanted to talk to you today about the way things are shaping up in Nevada right now. As you know, this has been considered a toss-up state, one of the most important states for the GOP to win, not only in the governor's race, but in the Senate race and in our congressional races. So you may be wondering how things are looking right now. Well, in almost every single race, these are close toss-ups. It could go either way. Our gubernatorial race, our Senate race, and all of our House races. Things are very tight right now. But I will tell you, things are looking up for the GOP for a couple of reasons. First, in the state of Nevada, we have about 3 million people. And the majority of the people in this state are registered as Democrats, then followed by independents, and then Republicans. That's right. Republicans are basically the third party in this state. And normally, in years past, Democrats, particularly in Clark County, that's where Las Vegas is, have a huge firewall of activity so that it makes it pretty easy for them to win elections with a slam dunk. Well, this year, things are definitely changing. The Democrat Clark County firewall is shrinking by the day. It's only about 21,000 votes right now. And that means Democrats, when they're voting, they have to be voting straight ticket to have any effect on the Republicans. But what are those independents doing? It seems like independents in this state are leaning to the Republican side. And you may be wondering why. Well, I'll take a phrase from James Carville in 1992. It's the economy, stupid. That's right. Everything is about the economy in Nevada right now. We are suffering from the third highest gas prices in the nation. That's right. Only California and Hawaii have higher gas prices than we do right here. We have the second highest rents in the nation. Only Florida has higher rent. But we don't have high-paying jobs here. Did you know that 72% of Nevadans don't have a college degree? Yet Joe Biden and the Democrats wanted those hardworking Nevadans who work at casinos and as plumbers to pay off other people's student loans, to pay off doctors and lawyers' student loans when the people here didn't even go to college. We have some of the highest inflation in the nation, and that is what is driving voters. That's why people are considering Sheriff Joe Lombardo over our current governor, Steve Sisolak, particularly in the Culinary Union, which has been a Democrat stronghold. The Culinary Union is basically the union that represents everyone who works for the casinos on the Strip. Many of those people don't have their jobs back, so not everyone is ecstatic with the shutdowns and the way that Governor Sisolak handled the shutdowns back in 2020 and his refusal to reopen us in a timely manner. That is a big, big issue. Also, the Democrats in the state have focused on one issue entirely. They focused on the issue of abortion. They've said, pay no attention to the inflation, pay no attention to the gas prices. We don't care that you can't afford eggs and you can't afford bacon. Focus on abortion. And the fact of the matter is, abortion is protected here in the state of Nevada. Back in the early 90s, the voters by referendum made it that abortion is protected here up until 24 weeks. And get this, there's not one thing a politician can do to change that, because according to Nevada's constitution and laws, in order for a voter referendum to be overturned, the voters themselves have to overturn it. So there is no fear of a Senator Laxalt. There is no fear of a Republican congressional representative or Republicans in our legislature or in the governorship of doing anything to the issue of abortion. And that is why it's a dead issue. Democrats have hung on abortion instead of the economy. And rather than admitting the economy is an issue, rather than admitting it, they continue to use terms like, oh, inflation is temporary or inflation is transitory. There's no such thing. Inflation is here and inflation is here to stay, and it's hurting American families. And that's why independents, that's why women overall are leaning towards Republican voters right now. Now, I'm not going to give you some false hope that early on November 8th by 8 p.m., you're going to say slam dunk, Nevada is completely red. No, because we have mail voting here and because we have ballot harvesting here, here, it's all legal in the state of Nevada, we can see ballots being counted for several days after the election. So if anything's close, let me tell you this, they're not going to count it. But we have very good information, at least in one of our House races. That's going to be CD3, Congressional District 3, which is currently held by Democrat Susie Lee. It is very, very likely that is going to be a huge upset for the Democrats come election night because April Becker, the Republican candidate, is leading amongst independents, and they redistricted the district that was totally advantageous to April Becker. It's so bad for Susie Lee that the Democrats, the DCCC, and the House Majority PAC have all pulled their advertising for Susie Lee here in the last week of the election. So they've got no money going toward her because they know that April Becker is going to win. In fact, the Fox News shakeup of the races have now made CD3 a lean R instead of a toss-up. So that's one that I'll go on the record and say we are definitely going to win. And I guess I'll say the last thing that Nevadans are very focused on right now is the issue of crime. And here's what's so interesting. We have a sheriff, the sheriff of Clark County, Nevada, running for governor right now. And Democrats keep trying to say that crime is worse because of our sheriff. It is absolutely insane to me that you would blame the police for the crime problem when the reason why we have a crime problem in Nevada right now is because of judges letting people out with cashless bail. Do you know that we have over 200 people waiting for even to go to trial, that we put hundreds of people on house arrest, people who have been on house arrest for 7, 8, 9 years waiting for their trial? We have people on trial for murder, waiting for their trials for murder, who've been on house arrest for 7+ years. It's ridiculous. We just recently had an illegal migrant go on the Las Vegas Strip and stab people at random, killing Nevadans on the Las Vegas Strip. The crime problem is not because of the sheriff. The crime problem is because Governor Sisolak, when he was a part of the county commission, he cut funding for police. The crime problem is because in the last legislative session, Democrats gave away protections to police and gave more opportunity for crime to run rampant, increasing the amount that people can steal without having any penalties whatsoever, making things misdemeanors, making things just minor penalties. It's because of the Democrats and the defund the police movement and rogue judges and DAs that we have a crime problem, not because of the police. And that's why I think Governor Sisolak is going to see a huge loss this time as well, and that Sheriff Lombardo will be victorious. So that is the makeup of Nevada at the moment. When it comes to polling, it's tricky. I'll say that. Polling can often be persuaded. It all depends on how you ask the question. So that might be why some of the polling is so close. The real question we need to be asking in this state, and this is what makes it hard, is where are the independents going? We pretty much know how the Republicans are going to vote. We're going to know how the Democrats are going to vote. But if Nevada goes red, it is going to be strictly because of the independents. These polls are so close that they're to the wire, and we don't really know how it's going to shake up. And like I said earlier, we have all mail-in voting here. We have ballot harvesting here. So you can see a huge push of ballots come in even after election day that will be counted, because we will count every single ballot, I believe 7 or 8 days after the election to be included. So it is always very difficult to tell what is going on with polling and if polling is truly indicating what is going to happen. I like to look at the early voter data, and what the early voter data is telling me at the moment is that turnout is quite low, that Republicans are turning out in a big way, and that if independents are voting Republican, we are going to have a massive red wave here in Nevada, and we're going to win seats in the state Senate and the state assembly that no one even thought they even had a chance of winning. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to depend on how the mail vote turns in. And these polls, while they're optimistic and great, I don't always agree with them. For example, in Pennsylvania, when you look at the polls, Fetterman is always leading Dr. Oz. But at the end of the day, most of those polls were taken before the debate. And most of those polls are questioned in a way that can be advantageous for the Democrats. So I don't know that polls are a great thing to rely on. As a journalist, I can tell you this, the media uses them to fill time, to fill space so that they have something to say when, quite honestly, we have no idea what's going to happen until election day. Once again, I'm Michelle Mortensen in Las Vegas, Nevada. Back to you, Olivia.
Michelle's not the only person that thinks there's going to be a red wave. We had Colin Cowherd, a well-known sports commentator, say that He thinks there might be a red wave on Twitter. Let's look into what he said. Red wave is coming Tuesday. Don't mess with people's kids. It lands differently, and they will hold a grudge. Can't blame them. That's my TED Talk. He gives a follow-up tweet doubling down on this sentiment when someone replies to him. They said, "They're gonna come for you for this one, Colin." He replied, "Couldn't give two Fs. I lean mostly left, but data clearly proved kids 18 and under were safe, yet held out of schools. Test scores have plummeted, suicides have risen, chaos for parents, just a sad reality of ignoring data. A price will be paid and hopefully a lesson learned." This is notable because just as Cowherd said, he usually leans left on the spectrum. So, what do you guys think about someone who leans left and now is coming awake and seeing, yes, there's going to be a red wave? Thanks for joining us today. I'm Olivia Brown.